All right, so welcome back to Figures and Flippy Shit. This is our return to Anchor as well, and our second episode on YouTube. So if you missed the first one, you can go back and watch it. Like I said, there's some lost episodes. Maybe one day they'll find their way up. We'll see. We're here to talk about the wrestling news of the week, different storylines that happen in WWE, AEW, and NXT. But I think what we should start with is something that's bigger than wrestling storylines. And that was Tuesday night while we were watching NXT. We saw online that Jay Briscoe had passed away. Yes. Now, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to go over all my favorite Briscoe brothers matches and all that, because I'm going to be real honest, I haven't seen a lot of them. And it's not because I don't support the Briscoes or don't support independent wrestling. It's just really hard to find time in our schedule to go back and watch old wrestling.
It is. I mean, I've gone back a few times, and I like to go back on YouTube and rewatch old episodes. So I've seen, I don't really know if I've seen a lot of matches of theirs, but I've seen a lot of promos of theirs, and I mean, they're really good. And then their feud with FTR, the trilogy. We saw the second two matches, awesome.
2 out of 3 falls, and the dog collar match.
Yeah.
But what I do want to talk about in regards to Jay Briscoe is this whole week, seeing the outpour of love and support from wrestlers, no matter where. I think that reminds us that wrestling is a community first. Yes. There are wrestling companies, AEW, WWE, MLW, all that. But first and foremost, wrestling is a community. And to see these people come out and support somebody, especially WWE, who doesn't acknowledge anything outside of their bubble, which they need to do more of. Because yes, they're a company. Yes, they have a bottom line to meet. But you are built by a bunch of wrestlers that cut their teeth elsewhere. Yes, you have some of your homegrown talent, but you have so many wrestlers that cut their teeth elsewhere.
Yes, and that showed a lot with everybody talking about
And it did. And there were armbands everywhere this week.
Yes.
Commemorating them.
Yes.
And I think
he's been around, the Briscoes have been around a very long time. So, I mean, it makes sense.
I remember when I would hang out with Owen over at the Podcast Network in the early 2000s, the Briscoe brothers were frequently talked about when we would hang out. And you're talking 2003, 2004, that area.
Yes.
Because I believe they got their start in 2001, which is crazy. They wrestled for 22 years. But just the outpouring of support and seeing this community come alive, it makes any tribalism seem stupid.
It does.
Wrestling, and another thing that it points out to me too is wrestling is a team sport. You count on these men and women go out and count on each other to make the other look good. And at any time, somebody can decide to, I don't want this person to be big, and sandbag it the way through. There could be a lot of pettiness and jealousy with the egos that you see in wrestling and that you hear about.
Yeah.
But the one thing that strikes me with Jay Briscoe is the amount of people that he wrestled along the way that went on to bigger spotlights and more success and more money that he was never bitter about. You see the stories of where wrestlers that have been in WWE, like Steen and Sami Zayn, had caught up with Jay Briscoe over the years, and it was like they didn't miss a beat.
Yes.
It was like they were best friends all over again.
Yes,
and I think that really speaks to his character and his selflessness as a performer.
Yes.
And I'm just blown away by that. In a business like this where ego is so huge, for him to check himself and not get bitter and, just accept that, the things that he said that he made amends for.
Yes.
Permanently stunted where he might have been able to perform, because talent alone, the Briscoes deserved a national stage and they deserve to be huge.
Yes.
For the work that they put in.
Yeah.
So this was a good chance for everyone to remember that wrestling is a community first, company second.
Yes.
And it was just really nice to see all the outpouring of support.
Yeah.
There are links online that you can go to find to donate money to his family. Obviously, his daughters are going to have a long road to recovery. Not only recovering from injuries, but not having their dad.
It was a very traumatic experience.
Yes. So they're going to need all the love and support that anybody can give them.
Yes.
So, find those links and donate if you're able to. If you're able to, buy a shirt, buy some merch. Because clearly he was somebody that was very loved. Him and his brother are both somebody that were very loved in this community and had influences on wrestlers that, like us, have not seen many Briscoe brothers matches, but we learned just how big of a footprint they have on some of the people that we enjoy watching every week, that we have followed them more closely.
Yes.
So, sending positive thoughts to that family. They're definitely going to need it.
Positive vibes.
Yes.
If
you're a prayer, pray.
Yes.
That's just not our style.
We will send positive vibes.
Yes. But I just wanted to touch on that because I think that's definitely a story that's bigger than wrestling itself. It's definitely in a year full of crazy things that have happened.
Stuff happening. Yes.
To me, this is the one I think is the most important because I feel like this story kind of took wrestling back to basics.
It did, yeah. Everybody just kind of came together. It was a community.
Yes, despite the the great bomb that happened at All Out and the wrecking ball of Vince McMahon coming back into WWE, this is wrestling's most important story right now because it stresses that wrestling is a community first.
Yes.
But that's all we're going to say on the matter. There are a lot more people that could say a lot better things that we can and a lot more things that we can. I do intend to try to make an effort to go back and watch some other Briscoe Brothers matches that are recommended to me, just because I would like to see everything and to see what's there.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, like I said, I haven't seen many of his matches, but for the footprint that he's left on many wrestlers that I watch and enjoy today, thank you, Jay Briscoe.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and move into the storylines of the week.
We'll start with WWE first.
Yes.
So we'll talk about WWE first, and then we'll move on to AEW stuff.
Yeah.
So it just helps us stay focused.
Yeah. So let's talk about, not necessarily just Raw, let's talk about the big WWE stories of the week. So let's start with the biggest.
On WWE in general.
Let's start with their definitely their biggest and most intriguing story, the Bloodline. My God, this thing's a roller coaster.
It does, because with Raw, we started out like the Bloodline, just the Usos and Solo Sikoa. They were kind of like addressing what's going on with their lives, and like I think that they confirmed The Rock was coming, but Rock hasn't been announced already, right?
He was not mentioned by name, but they did say that there was going to be a full Bloodline Tribal Chief acknowledgement segment with different generations.
Yes.
So
I took that to potentially mean The Rock is confirmed as coming back.
Yeah.
I know some people are pumped about this. Some people are like, why?
I think, and from what I've seen, I saw a story that broke that said that Rock ultimately wasn't going to be available for WrestleMania. I am somebody that I feel like if the Legends come back, it has to be for a good reason.
Yeah.
And I think the Bloodline story absolutely warrants The Rock getting involved.
They do.
Because it is so much about the family.
I was going to say, they do focus on, like, the family and, like, yeah.
Yeah. So 100%, if Rock is involved in this somehow, I am for it because I feel like it fits. I feel like it's not shoehorning in a legend. I feel like this would definitely be a great use of Rock and to help even push that story even further.
Yes.
Because I will still say that the Bloodline is the best story in wrestling going on right now.
And we kind of saw on SmackDown, we saw a very manipulative Roman Reigns.
Yeah, Roman Reigns has definitely become, and I don't want to throw this term around lightly because I know there are more serious attributes with it, but if you take it in the land of kayfabe and make-believe, Sammy and Roman kind of have an abusive relationship.
Right, because SmackDown starts with, like, the Bloodline shows up, and Roman does not fist bump Sami Zayn. He just kind of, like, walks past him. And then, like, as the show progresses, you see, like, at first you see Roman basically, like, Roman was just kind of like,
he was very flippant towards Sammy and very irritated.
And he was just like, I'm the tribal chief. You are not. Like,
yeah.
So it was very, and then as the show progressed on SmackDown, Roman, like at one point in time, he said, go be with KO at one point in time.
Yeah.
But then as the show progressed,
he was kind of acting like a crazy girlfriend.
He was. And we did hear Paul Heyman tell Roman Reigns that he does not trust
Well, I guess you could say crazy boyfriend too. Let's not gender it, but
yeah.
But yeah, Paul Heyman, living up to his name of the wise man, was telling Roman, let's bring Sammy back in. And I think this is where the like I said, I hesitate to use this term, but I can't find a better one right now. The abusiveness comes in because Sammy was cast out. Sammy looked destroyed.
He did.
He looked absolutely destroyed.
I mean, he's kind of like, in like this storyline, he's literally, he kind of sees himself as part of their family, and he just cannot quite get their full trust.
Would you say that Sami Zayn is the main character of the Bloodline story?
I think so.
I do too.
I don't think it's Roman. I don't think it's the Usos. I kind of feel like they're all supporting characters to Sami Zayn.
Yeah. Which is crazy for your world champion. Especially when everybody thought that's what was going to happen with Jamie Hayter with Britt Baker.
Yeah. But I mean, like, Roman Reigns, though, he's been a champ for so long, it's kind of hard to keep the focus on him the entire time.
It does, because it would make it get stale. I think the fact that we're focusing on Sammy, but still keeping Roman's reign going, Roman Reigns, is brilliant. Because this is holding a champion being champion for 1,000 days.
Is that has the champ?
Yeah.
Holy
that's a story that could wear thin real quick, especially somebody that wrestles as little as Roman does. But the fact that Roman has come in and he's kind of playing, almost second fiddle to Sami Zayn, and we're acknowledging that within the realms of the story, is awesome. I talk about movies on the Popcast Network with my brother. This reminds me a lot of like a big name actor playing a supporting role. Like I think of something like Leonardo DiCaprio in Django Unchained. Like he could be the focus based on the movies that he's in, probably should be your focus, but the fact that he's not your focus elevates him.
Yes.
And keeps his roles fresh. So that's kind of what I think of in that regard. I'm sure there's a more recent example than a movie from 2012. But that's just the first one I thought of. Yeah, that's an 11-year-old movie, believe it or not.
I remember that because that's when we first started dating.
Yeah, we went to the theater and watched it. And when we came out, you were like, man, they used a certain word a lot.
Right, I kind of blew off work that day to hang out with you.
Yeah, you did. Admit it on camera.
Irresponsible Susan.
But Sammy is back in the fold for now until the next thing comes along that pisses off Roman.
Yes.
I still think we're not building Sammy to take the title off Roman. I think we're building Sammy for a, hey, I can run with you and I can compete with you and I should be taken seriously match.
Yeah.
I equate it to when Claudio fought Roman. When Roman was champ and everybody was pushing for Claudio to get a shot, and he went out there and he crushed it.
Yeah.
He absolutely crushed it. But Claudio crushes everything he does. I'm not surprised.
I kind of feel like the Bloodline storyline, I kind of feel like the main focus isn't even really relating to Roman Reigns. Like, yes, I know that he has the title, but I feel like the main storyline right now with the Bloodline is Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
Yeah. So, well, you still have Roman with the puppet strings because, like KO pointed out, any time that there's been a match that Sammy's had to do, Roman's requested it. So Roman is still pulling the strings.
True. And then
Roman's essentially booking Sami Zayn.
Right, and we can't forget about last week. So and it all kind of this thing with Roman is so weird because last week Sammy didn't beat KO because the Bloodline interfered to help him. And it's just kind of is that, I feel like that's part of the manipulation. Yeah.
This is, and I will say the Bloodline story is the story that most often I wake up the next day and I'm like, I'm one day closer to seeing the next piece of the puzzle for the Bloodline. It's so intriguing. It's so fun. I just love this story. It's the most invested I've been in a WWE story in I don't know how long.
I know. I feel like we could talk about the Bloodline for 3 hours.
Yeah, we could do a whole episode on the Bloodline.
We could literally, I could pull out my social work things and analyze the Bloodline.
Yeah, but you don't want that. But no, I think KO and Roman Reigns at the Rumble is going to rule.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a fantastic match. I think that could be an early match of the year candidate. Because when Roman and KO always go out, it's always fun. It's always physical. It's just, it's two characters that I love to see clash because Roman is normally cool, calm, collected, and KO's that one thing that switches him into overdrive where he goes nuts.
Kill everybody.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And KO comes in making logical points. It's so nice to have a WWE story that's based so much in logic. It's wonderful.
Yes.
So yeah, that's essentially the Bloodline story. Still, my main complaint is that there's not really much story advancement on Raw. Most of the advancement happens on SmackDown. But I understand, you have to have both, You have to have them on Raw because they are the champions for that brand.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I almost feel like sticking the Bloodline on there in neutral is taking away, which is crazy to think is taking away time on a 3-hour show from other things that we could be doing. Because I know last week on Raw, the Bloodline showed up and Solo had a match and the Usos had a match. And the Bloodline, while not really advancing the story all that much, took up probably 45 minutes of the show in total.
Right.
With matches and promos. But, you know, me, I'm not going to ever turn down an Usos match or turn down a Solo Sikoa match.
It's usually good. And, we had a really fun, I really enjoyed it. I know some people don't really like intergender wrestling. But we had a really fun moment, in my opinion, where Solo Sikoa and Rhea Ripley literally had like a standoff in the ring.
Yeah, I'd watch that for $5. I would totally watch that match.
For about $10.
I'd watch that match for $1,000. Maybe not 1,000 because I'm broke.
But I just really liked that because Solo Sikoa, like neither one really like backed away from each other. So I don't know. I enjoyed it. I love how Rhea Ripley steps to the men. I know. I enjoy her booking. It's very much like China or like Beth Phoenix or like, and I'm not comparing her to China or Beth Phoenix. It's I'm just saying like booking wise where they interact with the men so much. So,
I want Rhea Ripley to win the Royal Rumble. Like, I love Becky Lynch. I love Becky Lynch. There's a lot of female wrestlers that I enjoy. But I made up my mind this week. I want Rhea Ripley to win the Royal Rumble.
Something else, I would say my second favorite little faction on WWE is Judgment Day.
Judgment Day has been, ever since Triple H took over, Judgment Day has been so fun.
When Finn kind of got in the... Honestly...
I feel like...
If you go back and listen to earlier podcasts, I'm kind of ripping on Dominic, but I feel like he has helped Judgment Day be who they are now. Dude. Because, oh my God, he's knocking out of the park.
Dude, Prison Dom is wonderful.
I know. Wonderful. I love it.
I love Prison Dom so much.
It's goofy, and I understand if you don't like goofy, that's fine. But it's a very goofy thing, and it's amazing, I think. So... Yeah. Dominic has really taken this role and he's run with it. Knocked it out of the park.
He's done great with it.
I don't know how to swing a bat, actually.
You used to play baseball or softball
I did,
or something.
And I don't remember. I used to be like a powerhouse hitter. I don't remember how to hold a bat now.
Oh, man. I was trying to imitate, the mighty have fallen.
How do you swing? Well, that's me trying to imitate how to swing a bat. Knocking it out of the park. That's what I was trying to get out there.
Yeah.
But I butchered it.
It's okay. So what else? Other main stories are going on with WWE right now.
Cody Rhodes did confirm that he's coming back to the Royal Rumble.
I know it was obvious, but I think still just him popping up would have got a bigger pop.
I think so too, but but then at the same time, they've made Cody this huge deal since he got to W. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
little Linnea wants to be in the scene.
Since he got back, and it's kind of
such a big deal though since he got back. So like it's kind of to me, yes, I like surprises, but to me it also makes sense that they announced it because he's such a big deal. Why wouldn't there be like a countdown to Cody Rhodes returning? You know what I mean?
I remember.
So it makes sense to me.
I remember when he first showed up, they would literally have a countdown on Raw till he would just come out.
Right. Much different
like the Cody
from
clock.
Much different from his he was not was he Stardust?
Yeah.
Stardust. I was like, no, that is his brother. But oh my God, Goldust was his brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he's come a long way since his Stardust days. But even then, he was a good wrestler. Then he just nobody believed in him.
Do you think Cody Rhodes will win the Royal Rumble?
I think there's a very good chance.
I do too.
Think honestly, so we have we don't really do bets, but we bet on who's going to win because we have the figures and flippy shit F and FS title that we have, which I think I'm the champ still.
You still have because you've had it since Final Battle and there was another show that ran that day. I remember there was two.
Oh, moral of the story.
It was NXT's show, but I don't remember the name of it.
Well, moral of the story is I'm the champ. I'll probably be the champ after Royal Rumble. Let's be real, because I've been the champ for a while.
I doubt it. I very much doubt it.
But But what I was getting at with that, though, is I'm definitely probably going to pick Cody Rhodes as the winner for the Men's Royal Rumble.
For the Women's Royal Rumble, I really want Rhea Ripley to do it. I am scared to death that Ronda Rousey's going to win it again.
Is she
because
in it?
Ever since she lost, she's been off TV.
Well, she said that she
and
doesn't
that would
have
be a
any,
place for her to come back.
She said that she doesn't have any interest. From what I have seen, it seems like she kind of wants to go like the tag team direction, which I would be down for her in.
Shayna Baszler as a tag team?
Yeah, I would be down for that.
Yeah, but there's still that unfinished business with Charlotte. And you don't think that they're going to be tempted to put Charlotte and Ronda on Mania Main Event Night 1?
And I feel like they could have the potential of being the female version of Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, where it's just continuously thrown in our face.
Yeah. But, I mean, if Ronda came in on a tractor and tipped the ring up, I mean, I would be intrigued. That's one of the silliest things I've ever seen in my life. And it cracks me up every time I see it.
I just think Ronda needs to work on her ring skills.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's at that level to be a champ. I've said that from the very beginning. I don't think she's at that level. So she still seems very green to me in her matches. Things happen, and it's just like...
If she's got a good, strong opponent, she can keep up, but she can't be
She needs a strong opponent to make her look good.
Yeah. Right, back to my first point. Wrestling is a team sport.
It is, and I understand that that's no. I mean, I get that that's normal in wrestling, but my point is Ronda Rousey is not ready to be the champ. I've always thought that she was not ready to be the champ. Like, she has so much to work on. You can clearly see that. We only know you're pushing her because of her name and who she is.
Yeah.
And I just don't like it.
It's kind of like...
Is that nepotism?
No, nepotism is if, like, Ronda Rousey's dad worked for WWE and he put her in that place.
I don't know big words, but...
Yeah, that's nepotism.
Yes, no, well, never mind. It's not nepotism. Just forget I said that then.
And what's sad to me is this seems to be kind of a theme with the women, because AEW, as much as I love her, AEW has done the same thing with Jade Cargill.
Yes.
And this is coming from somebody that loves Jade Cargill.
Yeah, it was just the title put on her a little too soon.
Like I get what they were going for.
Much.
I think AEW going on live circuit or going on a live show tour will help her. Yes. Plus, she's got Bryan Danielson training her. That's two good things.
Cannot go wrong with that.
Yeah.
So,
but back to WWE.
Oh, we got off the topic.
Yeah, but I mean, there was a comparison. It was warranted.
I will say this isn't really like. I will say crowds. I feel like the crowd ruined the show on Raw. On Monday, I feel like they were awkward. They were quiet. Like, you come to a wrestling show to cheer and be loud and just be crazy. You do not go to a wrestling show to sit there like this. Stay at home if you're just going to sit there like this.
Especially, we've seen ticket prices. Like,
right?
Yeah.
Like, enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be like a bored puppy. I don't know. I couldn't think of something else, but just don't be a bored person.
A bored Benny.
Because people on the hard cam, like right behind them on Raw, I couldn't stop looking at them because this was them. Yeah. And it's like, oh my god, let's crack freaking smile.
Yeah.
You're in the front row. That shit's not cheap. So
now on the flip side, for SmackDown, Detroit was a great crowd.
Yeah, it was just Raw. Yeah. So just have fun. Or don't go. Because you ruined my experience. Because the crowd, I feel like, makes the show better, in my opinion.
Yeah, a hot crowd can take a show and push it to the stratosphere.
Were they in Cincinnati?
They were in Cincinnati.
Heel Susan's coming out. Cincinnati, you ruined the show.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's Heel Susan. I can make that statement.
That's fine if you want to go that route.
It's Heel Susan. I can say those things. It's wrestling talk. You can say things and it's okay.
We'll see how that works out for you.
Well, just so you know, we have been to Cincinnati, and I do like the town, but I do not like them as a crowd.
Yeah.
Yes. What? Oh my gosh! Can we talk about creepy Nikki Cross still?
Yeah, if you want to.
So, Candice LeRae, who was she fighting in the ring again? I cannot remember who she was fighting. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is the only problem with doing the show on the weekend is Raw feels like a distant memory.
Seems forever ago.
Yeah.
But I know she was in a match. With somebody? Oh gosh. But after the match, no wait, Nikki, she wasn't even in the match. She was outside the ring. Candice LeRae she wasn't in the match.
Yeah, Candice had cut like a promo or something, and then it cut to Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves, and Nikki Cross was behind them.
And it was very funny, and I know kayfabe, Candice LeRae is not going to see her. But my first thought when I saw that was, Candice, you did not see creepy Nikki Cross just standing behind the announcers, just awkwardly just following you. Like, you don't see her awkwardly everywhere you go.
Maybe Candice is figuring out that maybe, like, she watched a scary movie and realized if I don't acknowledge the monster, it won't come after me. If I don't make eye contact, I won't be seen as a threat.
I don't know. But, like, kayfabe-wise, like, in storyline, I love it. If I think about it too much, I'm like, girl, notice your surroundings. Trust nobody. Notice your surroundings. But in kayfabe, love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's pivot now to the U.S. title picture. And I feel like we're going in circles.
With Lashley and...
Lashley, Rollins, and Theory are always kind of hanging around the U.S. title.
Right.
I like what Austin Theory's doing. I like Bobby Lashley. I like Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
I'm ready for them all to move on from each other.
I agree. Yes.
I would love...
They're all great. I love this new direction Austin Theory's going. He's not this, like... I don't know, this, like... Just, like, cookie-cutter wrestler. Like, hunky wrestler. You know what I mean? He actually has more personality.
And I know that it's called Monday Night Rollins, but I would really like to see Rollins go over and mix it up on SmackDown.
But then Becky Lynch would have to go, because don't they keep the married people together, or the couples together?
Usually, but I mean, he could just do... I basically what I want is Rollins versus Gunther. That's what I want.
So I don't think that... I think because Raw tends to be the one that kind of struggles with me, so I don't want Rollins to leave. Maybe have Gunther show up there. But I don't want Rollins to leave because he's a very interesting part. If you take him away from Raw, it's gonna be worse.
Well, I mean, you can move somebody else over there in a trade.
Like who? I guess I just don't want Rollins to leave Monday.
Put Karrion Kross
like the one Monday Raw on Raw. That's not gonna. Raw's already difficult for me because it's so long. I need somebody that's going to keep me entertained and engaged like Rollins does. I like Karrion Kross, but he does not have that same effect on me that Seth Rollins does. No offense, I do like Karrion Kross, but it's just he's not. Seth Rollins is my favorite male wrestler, I think, in WWE. I love him. He's such a shit, and I love it. So, like...
my personal pick, I really enjoy Rollins, too, but I think my personal pick is Kevin Owens.
Yeah, he's good, too.
I love Kevin Owens so much.
There's just something about... I just love heels that they just make you want to, like... They get under your skin. They make you want to slap them. Their little comments and, like... I know that Seth Rollins isn't really a heel right now.
I was going to say, is he really a heel at this point?
But just, like, the comments that he makes, like... I just love it.
Like how he likes to dig at Austin Theory.
I love his little digs. I just love how he's just so energetic. It's so I don't know. I love it. It gets me his music. I just want to sing along with his music with him. Like I don't know.
So whenever he's like, "Sing my song," you're like, "Okay."
You hear me at home singing the song by myself with the crowd.
True.
I just love me some Seth Rollins, man.
Yeah. Let's go to the other title. What do you think of what's going on with Alexa Bliss and Bianca?
I don't know. So
this is where we go into Uncle Howdy territory, which is a hot button issue for you sometimes, depending on the week.
I don't know what my deal is with Uncle Howdy. I will say that Bray Wyatt, I know last week my beef with Bray Wyatt was that I just felt stupid. Listening, like, sometimes I just could not comprehend his promos and I felt stupid. And I don't like to feel stupid, you know?
So you had the same reaction that pretty much LA Knight did in his promo.
I guess I sympathize more with LA Knight.
This story is increasing my fandom for LA Knight more than Bray Wyatt.
It is.
Yeah.
And I already liked Bray Wyatt though. But LA Knight.
No, don't get me wrong. I still like Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
I still think he's super creative.
Yeah.
But just like, man, LA Knight's killing it. LA Knight is absolutely killing it.
That was a good bat swing,
I
think.
It was. So yeah, I think, and they did the Firefly Funhouse this week, which was a fun callback,
and it was the butt crack.
Oh, and I think I wonder if next week we're gonna get a spot with the Fiend and LA Knight because we've kind of gone cult leader. Firefly Funhouse, and then Fiend, and then the Pitch Black match where Uncle Howdy will come back
dude,
into
I didn't
it.
think about that.
Yeah.
But Uncle Howdy did show up with Alexa Bliss and with Bray Wyatt.
Ultimately, I do believe that Bliss will lose to Bianca. Because I think...
I don't
Yes,
know.
because I think Rhea Ripley's going to win the Royal Rumble and take the title off Bianca at Mania.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what we're building
that's a good point.
Yeah.
My hope is that, man, I just want... What is going to happen with Uncle Howdy, Bray, and Alexa Bliss? Like, why is Uncle Howdy just getting her back to her, like, bad self again? Is that the whole purpose of this?
I don't know.
Is she going to come into play with Bray Wyatt at some point? Because he's just kind of cycling through. So that would make sense then. The Fiend does come in. Like you were saying, if we see the Fiend next, maybe we will see Alexa Bliss. Maybe. I don't know. I'm nervous for the Alexa Bliss because I know we weren't watching wrestling at that time, but I just heard that it wasn't that great. But I have more faith that it's going to be better, though, whatever's going to happen with Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy, because Vince, I don't believe he's in charge again. And if Vince is still not in control, the wrestlers have more say.
I'll tell you what led me to believe this week that Triple H is still in control is that during the tag team tournament match, the Viking Raiders had a hell of a showing.
That's true, and he did love the Viking.
They were undefeated in NXT.
Yes.
They were undefeated. They were the War Raiders in NXT. So you do have some reason that you keep going back to that.
I like War Raiders. It sounds much more intense.
Who do you think is... I'm
a freaking snowflake, and I like War Raiders.
If you could pick somebody to be Bray's opponent at WrestleMania, who would you pick?
Anybody?
Anybody from...
At WrestleMania?
Yeah.
So this is after the LA Knight feud.
Yeah. Or do you think he'll fight LA Knight again? Because I know who I'd want to see Bray fight at Mania.
I think it would be fun. So is he a heel? Oh man, I sound like you. Is he a face or a heel?
I think he's psychotic.
So I think he's kind of like in betweener. Because LA Knight was a heel. That was your big thing at first. I don't know. My first thought, and that's just because we talked about him earlier, was Finn Balor. That's the first person that popped up.
Bray Wyatt and Finn have fought before. You could do
but
Rollins.
Not in this kind of.
Rollins is on Raw and Bray's on SmackDown.
That's right. I get confused because Uncle Howdy pops up on both shows.
Can I throw mine out there and see if I can convince you to join me?
Obviously, I'm struggling.
Especially...
Cody Rhodes?
No. Cody should fight Roman.
Oh.
Okay, so let's say that Alexa Bliss is brought back into the fold.
Okay.
And let's say that they are pushing Bray
AJ
as a
Styles?
babyface. Would you let me get there?
Sorry, my bad.
Especially if you're bringing Alexa Bliss back into the fold, I think two people that would offset them really well... Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss facing off against Karrion Kross and Scarlett.
Oh, and that'd be so creepy.
Yeah.
I do really like that.
I thought I might be able to convince you.
You just had to mention them, and I was like, "Ooh, creepy."
Yeah,
I like that
because there's a woman on each side as well.
Yeah, and Scarlett Bordeaux can wrestle.
Yeah, and the interactions between Bliss and Scarlett, I think, would be really fun.
I think so too.
Because I think you would have a point where they're trying to out-creep each other.
So I really like Alexa Bliss. Do you feel like her promos have kind of gotten worse since she kind of has more control?
Bliss?
Yeah. And I don't know if it's the fact that she's a baby face or I don't know if it's because she's
I think it's part of coming to grips with what that character's supposed to be.
So she's still trying to learn it, maybe.
Yeah, I think she's still trying to figure out how she wants to approach it, how she wants to deliver it. Because you kind of feel like
at times it feels like don't get me wrong, like I think she's knocking out of the park.
But
in my opinion,
her best promo work was when she was Goddess Bliss, and that was a very well defined character.
And that's kind of what I keep comparing her promos to, because that's the Alexa Bliss I first saw.
Yeah,
because that's whenever you first got me into wrestling. Was that version of Alexa Bliss. And the first time I saw Alexa Bliss, I remember her. She really stood out to me because I was like, oh my gosh, this girl is a Valley girl, for one thing. So I loved how she talked. And then
she's not Valley girl, she's Columbus.
I know, but you know what I mean. Like, well, you know what a Valley girl was until I told you.
No.
But just the way she talked reminded me of a Valley girl, like a very girly girl. And then just the things that she would say I was like, oh my God, she's brutal. I love her. And now I don't really get that. It's kind of like Alexa Bliss. Her character like lost itself when she had to become the babyface Alexa Bliss. And I don't know. Does anybody else feel that same way as me? Because I just think Alexa Bliss, she's the best when she can be mean. That's what I think. And I just want her to go back to being mean so bad.
And I see where you're coming from, because I start to see those things show in her promos, and then the Uncle Howdy stuff comes in, and that's where it kind of comes off the rails a little bit.
Right? Because and I get it, she's selling that what's happening. According to her, Bray had abducted her, and like, so I get it, but her promos just aren't there for me right now. I don't dislike them, but they're not great right now.
Do you think Bliss helps out at the Pitch Black match against LA Knight?
I mean, I think that makes sense, because why else would you keep including her with everything if she's not going to do something to help Bray Wyatt in some capacity at some time?
Yeah.
So even if it's not that match, which I think there's a good possibility that it will be, at some point Alexa Bliss is going to come in and like, hopefully not. Didn't you like come out of a cake at one point or something and was just bleeding the black
Jack in the Box
blood?
That was the Fiend's last match.
Hopefully nothing like that, because that just absolutely destroyed Bray Wyatt's character, I feel like.
Well, what destroyed his character was how he got RKO'd 5 seconds later and lost in like a minute.
I'm just saying like that led to like the demise of like Bray Wyatt as we knew him, I feel. Well, there are a lot of things. Goldberg
that didn't help
helped with that. So like I guess, I don't know, long story short, I'm more optimistic if Vince just stays away. He does not need to be there. He is not wanted. Stay the heck away. I can go I could rant about Vince forever.
Well, why don't we speaking of things that Vince has been known to kill, let's talk about NXT.
Oh my gosh. NXT is good. It is nothing. I don't think it comes close to comparing to the golden black and gold days of NXT. I don't think NXT was like the best wrestling show at one point.
I have seen, and I would tend to agree with this. I have seen where people have said that Black and Gold NXT was essentially an indie promotion, and NXT as we know it now is back to being a developmental promotion.
It was, and I really liked how like the indie feel. But on the flip hand, NXT is kind of killing it in my opinion right now. In their current format, it does not compare to Black and Gold NXT, but they're still killing it in this new format.
It's better than I expected it to be when we came back to it.
Whenever we first started watching it, it was hard. So I have learned with NXT, because they have a lot of storylines on NXT, which is
there's
awesome.
A lot going on NXT.
So it's very hard to just come in on NXT and love it. You have to keep going with it, because that was our thing. We were like, man, I really want to continue NXT. We don't get this. We don't know the people. We can't keep up. But then we just stuck with it, and it paid off. Once you start to like know the characters more, the storylines are much better. And yeah.
So and we're still learning about it right now.
We are, yes.
Like Tiffany Stratton's back. We don't really know anything about her.
Yes.
All I have heard is that when she was there, she was like bad bitch number one.
Which I'm excited to see.
Yeah. I think it's perfect timing for her to come back, because it's gonna fill that void that Mandy Rose left.
Yes.
Because Mandy Rose definitely felt like
a big deal
in NXT.
She wasn't the greatest in ring. She was improved. She won most improved, so she was improving a lot. She wasn't the greatest, but you could tell she was working on it, and she just demanded attention when she walked in. So it'll be nice to have some. And I can see, what's her name, Tiffany Stratton? I keep wanting to call her Trish Stratus.
No.
I don't know why those names. They don't even sound alike, but I keep wanting to call her Trish Stratus. Or, oh my gosh, I just confused myself. What's her name again?
I saw your brain break there.
I know.
Tiffany Stratton. You keep wanting to call her Tiffany Stratus.
Yes. Okay. Oh my gosh, my mind broke there. But, so I am excited to see where that goes, because I think they do need they have like a Cora Jade. Cora Jade, I think, is killing it right now. I love Cora Jade. But she just didn't seem... Cora Jade's more like rock bad chick, and we need another like just mean girl, and I think that could be Tiffany Stratton.
I think NXT shows or does great showing how many women they have too.
And speaking of that, Sol Ruka beat Alba Fire on NXT. Granted, it was because
Isla Dawn's out there being weird.
Yes, but she did beat her. Oh my gosh, we completely skipped over something, speaking about women, from Raw that I want to touch on.
Yeah.
Becky Lynch and Bayley.
Oh yeah, we did kind of leave that.
So, I like that they're trying to do this, like, kind of build back up the old four horsemen and horsewoman rivalry thing, but they feel awkward. They just felt like their interactions were really awkward. They're going to have a steel cage match next week on Raw, which I think will be really good. But there's just something just not, I don't know if it's on Bayley's end. And I like Bayley. I don't know if Bayley, I feel like Bayley's having a hard time, like, connecting with the crowd right now.
Bayley's one of those things that when she came back and Triple H was in charge, I was really excited about. But Bayley, I don't want to say Bayley's fallen flat, but it's been rockier than I would have anticipated.
Yeah. And if you take Bayley out of the damage control thing and you, like, she's a very fun heel. Like, the things she does, like, to the fans, very heel-like. It's very fun.
Oh, during the
fun heel.
pandemic era, her and Sasha on SmackDown was always a delight.
I remember the very first episode. I don't remember if it was Raw or SmackDown, but it was whenever they were.
It was the very first. It was the very
and
first.
And it was so awkward because wasn't Triple H on commentary?
He was having the time of his life. I felt like
Bayley came out and she couldn't stop laughing because it was whenever there were no crowds. It was very different, and it was a very.
That episode
was kind of the downfall of us watching wrestling during COVID, honestly.
But I'll be honest, that episode has a special place in my heart because they went out there, they were like, what are we going to do to make this work?
Right?
Let's see what we can do.
Right. So, I mean, and they tried. And they just had fun with it, which is, I'm not saying they did anything wrong with it. And then they killed it whenever they brought in the
Thunderdome.
Yes, which was awesome. But
COVID
was just a hard time.
Whoever came up with the Thunderdome, I hope they still have a job because that was a brilliant idea.
Well, Vince, you don't know, but
yeah.
But I won't talk about Vince. I'm sorry. Anytime I can, I want to take a little jab at him because he's just not a good person.
Yeah.
And it makes me mad. I'm going to go on one little tangent. It makes me mad because you have people like us who we are good people, in my opinion. We don't do anything shady. We haven't, molested or raped somebody. But we don't have good luck in life. And then you have Joe Schmo Vince McMahon, who was known to be a terrible person, and there's no consequences for him. That irritates me, but that's all I want to say. I believe there's karma, and I cannot wait for karma to get him in the ass.
Well, it's running out of time. He is 77.
Well, maybe that's what'll do it.
Maybe it's Tony Khan buying WWE. Who knows?
Oh man, I don't want that to happen.
The only way I would want that
that's like a monopoly.
The only way I would want that to happen is if Tony Khan literally just had his name on the ownership
and he was like,
and just kept Triple H running it and just ran its own separate thing.
You do your thing. Yeah.
But, and then he just comes down every so often and says, "Okay, where's my cut? Cool, keep doing what you're doing."
Yes.
I'm fine with that.
Well, back to NXT. I know I got distracted there with Bayley and Becky, but I wanted to mention them because I was pumped for this feud, and it just feels weird.
I think now, don't get me wrong. I think the steel cage match will be excellent.
Oh, I think it will be too.
I think it'll be excellent.
Yeah.
Both of them have shown that when there's a cage involved, they do just fine.
Yes.
I expect it to also be kind of on the brutal side.
Yeah.
Do you remember Becky and Sasha at Hell in a Cell? How brutal that was?
Yeah, I mean, Becky has shown that, like, she can bring it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it was kind of a brutal act done to her that kind of kicked off her stardom a little bit.
True. Well, do you want to talk about the tag teams that won on SmackDown?
Yeah, and what a fun tournament. There's some fun teams.
Right, so
here.
we have the tag team contenders tournament to see who is going to win to face the Usos. So we have the winners. I'm not really going to go much to the matches. I'm just going to go over the winners. So we have, let's move on to the next round. So we have Sheamus and Drew McIntyre team. They have moved on. Hit Row advanced to the next round, and they're going to get Sheamus and McIntyre, which, no offense to Hit Row, we know who's going to win this match. These tournaments, it was good, but it really made it be known there's not a lot of, like, they didn't build up all the wrestling tag teams. So it was a good way to showcase them during this tournament, but it really showed that, like, you knew who was going to win, basically.
Yeah.
For the most part.
I can't wait till you're done running through these matches because I'm going to put my fantasy booking hat on.
Well, Imperium beats Brawling Brutes, so they advance. Legado del Fantasma, they defeat Maximum Male Models. Maximum Male Models.
Yeah.
Oh, and I guess
that was it. That was the first round.
Yes.
Time for the fantasy booking hat.
All right.
I won't lie. I was a little disappointed that the Brawling Brutes lost because they were on different sides of the bracket. Here's how I would book all the way up. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I would have had the finals be McIntyre and Sheamus against the Brawling Brutes.
Okay.
Sheamus has to make a choice. Sheamus chooses to side with the Brutes. McIntyre turns heel over it because I think it's time for McIntyre to go back heel.
He's a good heel.
What I would do is I would stick those two, and the rumor is Brock Lesnar and Gunther at Mania. So what I would do, I'd have Brock eliminate Gunther from the Rumble, kick that off, or have Gunther eliminate Brock, one of the two.
Okay.
Kick that off. Have Sheamus and McIntyre work their way into it. WrestleMania, Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental title. Sheamus, Drew, Brock, Gunther.
That'd be good.
Tell me that match wouldn't just sail.
It would be good,
It would sail.
Yeah.
And I'd have Gunther retain by pinning Lesnar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my little wish there. So I was disappointed when the Brutes lost. I love Imperiums. Nothing against Imperium.
Yeah.
But I was just a little disappointed because I thought maybe we were going to start to tell a little bit of a story there. Yeah. And like I said, I wouldn't break up the Brutes. I would just have Sheamus respectfully choose them, and I would have McIntyre get mad and go heel.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
I mean, SmackDown was really good last night. I think I'd pick that as my show to watch, honestly, for the week.
SmackDown for the week?
That's my go-to show, I would say, for the week.
I think I'm gonna have to agree. Dynamite was good, but I think I might have to agree.
Yeah, the one thing that.
What was your one gripe with SmackDown?
They didn't have any women's matches. They had one segment. Two.
Raquel did a promo about the Rumble.
Yeah,
but I see what you're saying because there was there's Shayna Baszler too. But I see what you're saying. The big showcase, there was one big showcase segment that was Charlotte and Sonya. There was no Liv this week, no Ronda Rousey, no Shotzi. So I get what you mean. Like, it felt like the women's division on SmackDown this week felt very bare.
They did not seem like they're important at all.
No.
That's the vibe I got. And I understand why it happened that way. I get it. They just didn't have enough time. But I don't know. When's the Royal Rumble?
The Royal Rumble was a week from today.
So couldn't they have done some of these like next week on SmackDown? To make more room for I don't know.
No, because I think they're wanting the finals of that tournament to be at the Royal Rumble.
I don't know. It's just I don't know. You can't say I don't know. You can't tell me that, like, yay, women's wrestling, and then not do anything with them. You were doing so well, and then it's like, I don't know. Is it because Stephanie McMahon's gone? I can't see that being the case, though.
No, I don't think so. I think it was just a time thing.
I don't like it, and that was one reason why I think Dynamite had the best, SmackDown had the best wrestling. But it was tough for me because I was like, you didn't represent the women really at all. And that's a big thing for me. That's one reason why I like wrestling so much is because how the women are more respected now. They're not just these like eye candy things because that's not what women should be. We're not eye candy. So like, I don't know. That was a big thumbs down for me. But it still was the best. Obviously it didn't affect me that much because I still pick it as like the best show to watch. But it just ruffled my feathers a little bit, but that's not difficult to do.
No. Did we get everything? Did we get everything covered on NXT?
I believe so. I think we're good to move on to...
Oh, no, one more thing. Congrats, Thea Hale, on your first win.
Thea Hale, she was somebody that, if you go back and watch my earlier podcast, you will probably hear me talk about Chase U. I have so many mixed emotions. One week, I love them. Another week, I'm like, God bless it. You are just too much. But I was very happy for Thea Hale this week because she was very hyper, but good for you. She's only 19.
And she gets an awards ceremony next week.
Oh my gosh. So that next week I might be like,
and I'm looking forward to teasing a little more of that tension between Andre Chase and Duke Hudson.
Yes.
That's fun.
Yes.
That's fun. So I think that's going to cover WWE stories for the week.
I would say so. We've covered about an hour on WWE.
Yeah. So let's switch gears. Let's go over to AEW.
Yes.
So you said earlier that SmackDown you thought had the best wrestling this week.
Yes.
Man, anytime there's a Dynamite, that's got to be up in the air because I will give you that SmackDown had the best story progression this week of any shows that we watched. Yeah. But man, it's hard to beat Dynamite wrestling matches when they're cooking.
They did have a lot. We had, like, this week we got Top Flight beating the Young Bucks.
Yeah, which was fun.
We had Bryan Danielson versus Bandito.
Bryan Danielson and Bandito was my everything.
So that was actually my match pick for the week.
Yes.
So my show to watch for the week, I would say, was SmackDown. But my match of the week would be Bryan Danielson versus Bandito.
Oh, man.
It was very good.
Oh, man, I am loving this Bryan Danielson just ripping through the top.
It's great because you get to see why Bryan Danielson's like one of the best. Like, he just gets showcased. And you do not see that in WWE with him. No. I did not know. We were actually talking, when he was with WWE, I did not know that Bryan Danielson was this, like, amazing wrestler because I didn't see that in WWE. But I get it now that I see him in like AEW. I get why he's like so well liked.
And next week he's gonna wrestle Brian Cage, and oh man, the hits just keep coming.
Yes,
I love it. I love this run that Danielson's on, where it's like, yeah, that guy, I'll fight him, and they're like, okay, and then it's 20 minutes of gloriousness.
Yes.
Plus, I really like Bandito. I was really glad that AEW got him.
Yeah, I was worried about WWE getting him, just because they've never been that great at booking. Like, what is Bandito considered like a
luchador?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, Rey Mysterio.
The only person I feel like they've ever been really truly good at booking is Rey Mysterio.
And even then, there were times that was a little rocky as well, like when
they just don't
when Vince decided it would be funny to have him lose to all the Giants when he was champion.
Yeah, so it's just they don't understand. I don't think WWE gets lucha wrestling as much. So I'm glad that he went to AEW. Plus, he has that freedom to go to so many different promotions now. So
I would say, though, if Triple H is in charge, I give luchadors a better shot because look at how he booked Andrade during Andrade's title run in NXT.
I just don't trust WWE right now. There's a lot of uncertainty going on in WWE, and I don't trust I just don't trust Vince McMahon.
You almost said Triple H. I was going to say, what did he do?
I started to say I don't trust Triple H to be able to keep his job, basically.
Oh, yeah.
And then I switched it around. But, like, I just don't trust Vince. So, like, no. We saw Saraya and Toni Storm kind of looking a little heel.
So I kind of wonder if they're going to try to...
They were very mean to Sheeta and, like... So,
do you think they're doing this to turn them heel, or do you think part of this is going to be to turn Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker face?
I kind of had the thought that it might be to turn them face.
Because Britt Baker, with her promos with Saraya, I think she was supposed to be the heel, but the things that she was saying weren't heelish. She has been there since the beginning. She's seen women come in and take over that spot just because they were the beginning.
And then on the opposite end, like a lot of you can watch these matches or the promos of Saraya, and she's even admitted, I say some things that are kind of heelish.
Yeah.
Like, she's admitted this. So, like, I don't know. So I've kind of wondered, because we've seen Britt Baker dominate as a heel. Let's see what she does as a face.
Yeah.
I'm down for it. I don't think we've got to see her as a face yet, have we? In AEW? Has she always been a heel?
I think so.
Has she?
I'm thinking
so it'll be nice to kind of... Well, if she was a heel, obviously it's been so long we don't remember. Or maybe it's never we weren't watching, but I don't think that was the case.
I don't know.
So I guess it'll just be nice to see.
No, because a lot of the time that we had taken off from AEW, she was champ.
Oh, that's true. We did miss that awesome match with Thunder Rosa, though, which I do regret missing that.
Yeah.
So what should we talk about next? Do you want to talk about Jay Lethal and Orange Cassidy?
The one thing I do want to touch on with this is, I know a lot of people rolled their eyes when Jeff Jarrett came back, but I feel like Jeff Jarrett has filled his role beautifully since he's been back.
He's very annoying.
He's great at getting heat, and getting it in the cheapest way. And he's not like in the main title picture. They were in tag title picture for a bit, but they're clearly out of that. So I really like what Jeff Jarrett's brought to AEW. I think it's gone a lot better than most people expected.
I liked on Dynamite how Sanjay, oh my gosh, Sanjay Dutt was like holding them back. He was like, you cannot, because Tony Khan made the stipulation, like, if they touched Orange Cassidy, best friends, if they
got involved in any way, they were done.
Yeah,
Danhausen was exempt.
Is it Sanjay?
Yeah,
Sanjay was fired.
Yeah.
So he was trying so hard the whole match to keep Jeff Jarrett and Satnam Singh.
Which Danhausen kept picking at him.
If there's a lot of shenanigans, if you don't like shenanigans, I would say probably skip this match.
Well, I would say if you don't like shenanigans, Danhausen's not going to be for you.
That's very true. Danhausen's a shenanigan guy, and that sucks for you because he's a heck of a hilarious person.
Yeah.
So funny. He just knows when to say things, how to say things. Like, I love it. He's fantastic.
Yes.
I'm so excited because we get to meet him for like the third time on the Jericho Cruise in like what, 12 days, 13 days?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cannot wait.
Yep. And we'll talk about the schedule at the end, how that's going to look.
Yes.
So after that, let's talk about Darby and Kushida. I mean, what else can you say?
It was a really good match.
Yeah, it's Darby and Kushida.
Yes, it was excellent.
And I love that Darby Darby and Orange Cassidy will fight anybody, anytime, anywhere.
Yes.
And I love that they do it for different reasons. Orange Cassidy does it because he doesn't give a shit.
Yes.
And Darby does it because he doesn't give a shit about getting killed. So I love it. And what's spawned from that, we found out on Rampage, we're going to get Darby versus Buddy Matthews next week. Yes, please, I'll have thirds.
I was waiting for you to say, inject that into my veins. Like,
nope, I went somewhere different intentionally.
You always say that. He's always like, yes, inject that into my veins, or I'll pay $5 to watch that. Or...
Well, no, this one, I just want helpings on a plate. Darby and Buddy Matthews, yes, absolutely. Let's do it. Crush it. And they will.
Well, what about your man Ethan Page on Rampage?
Oh, man, Ethan Page. Man, one thing I really liked on Rampage is on commentary put over Ethan Page quite a bit, which warms my heart.
I know. Ethan Page is just a really awesome dude.
Yeah.
If you ever get the chance to do a meet and greet and Ethan Page is there, my 2 recommendations for you. For one, absolutely see Ethan Page.
Yeah.
If Danhausen is there, absolutely meet Danhausen.
Yeah.
Those are my two favorite people that we've met. And that's probably why we just keep
that list is not that small.
The Acclaimed is also very, very fun to meet.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah. But we're hoping in November to knock a bucket list item off. We're going to try to go to WrestleCade and meet Bryan Danielson.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I know that's a bucket list item for both of us.
I love him.
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of, I will not lie, okay? I know people are going to, like, come at me for this. I love the Bella Twins.
Oh.
I love the Bella Twins. And the fact that Bryan Danielson's married to a Bella Twin kind of elevates him a little bit. To me.
I'll go with the simple explanation of he's one of the greatest wrestlers in the world.
He is, but I'm just saying, like, that's one reason why at first I started to pay attention more to him because he's married to Brie Bella. So, and I love the Bella. I went on this whole kick where I wanted to be just like them for a little bit. Remember? I was like, Chris, I think we should start doing cage-free eggs. Or, cage-free organic. And Chris was like,
we're low-paid social workers.
He was like, we're not the Danielsons. We don't get their money. We are not going to do their lifestyle. But I tried. I really did try to do that.
Well, if we get to meet Bryan Danielson, you can tell him so.
I'm not a fickle fan, Bryan Danielson. I'm not. I love when he was the Planet's champion.
And we agree with everything you said when you were the Planet's champion.
I know he was a heel, and everything he'd say, I'd be like, but is he wrong, though? Is he wrong?
Yeah. As I always quote to you, as we saw CM Punk himself say, tell me when I'm telling lies.
I know. We did. It's so crazy that we got to see CM Punk was it the last show he did?
No, it wasn't the last show. No, because the pay-per-view was soon. What was significant about the one we went to was that was the one where he called out Hangman Page.
And that was right when Kenny Omega first came back, so we were at that show, and we got to see, because whenever CM Punk called out Hangman Page, the crowd was like, oh, we're getting Hangman Page, not realizing that was just CM Punk going off script. Well, I guess he doesn't have a script, but you know what I mean. So
deliberately taking it in a direction that he knew it couldn't go.
Because when we watched that, whenever Moxley came out, it was very tense. Did you feel like it was tense?
It did feel pretty tense.
So because I remember looking at Chris and I was just like, dude, is this planned or are they actually mad right now? Like, what's going on? So it was very fun to be there to witness that in person, kind of like the downfall when things started to go wrong. But
going by what we've heard about Moxley and what supposedly led to that moment, I wouldn't be surprised if Moxley was a tad bit irritated.
True, because Moxley was the one that came in after everything went down, Punk and the Young Bucks and the Elite and everything, that he was kind of like come up, and he because I remember the episode of Dynamite after all that stuff went down, I was a little nervous. I was like, oh my god, AEW's done because of the Bucks and CM Punk. It's done now. Well, not I don't really blame the Bucks that much, but I know I have to. I'm biased. I will include the Bucks in there, the Elite in there, even though that's not I don't believe that, but yes. But that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people like CM Punk, and that's okay if you think CM Punk was innocent. That's fine. But I don't remember where I was going with that. I got off topic with CM Punk.
Once it wasn't me.
What was I remember? Well, we'll just move on because I forget what I was talking about. What were we talking about? Ethan Page?
Yeah, we were talking about how. I think the last thing we said about Ethan Page, we were talking about how commentary was putting him over.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But he just did. So if you guys should really watch Dark and Dark Elevation, because this storyline with Ethan Page, Matt Hardy, like the Firm, is Isaiah?
Yeah, Isaiah Cassidy.
So all of this has mainly been unfolding on Dark and Dark Elevation. So
and watch it alone just to watch Ethan Page dance to the Hardys music when they come out.
It's great.
It is. But this story's really fun. And if you watch Being the Elite,
he's on there now. They're continuing as well on there.
Yeah, and we got a peek at Broken Matt. So is Ethan going to ultimately break him?
There's been 2 different instances, I think, on Being the Elite where Matt Hardy has become Broken Matt Hardy because of something Ethan Page has done.
Yeah, Ethan Page is driving him that crazy.
Yes.
Which is, it makes it even funnier when you've met Ethan Page and you've seen the nice guy that he is.
I know.
It makes it even funnier that he has gotten on the point of Matt Hardy's nerves, that Matt Hardy's about to explode.
I know. I love it. And I loved how Brandon Cutler on Dark Elevation.
That was Dark Elevation.
Dark Elevation.
Yeah.
He was on a team with Matt Hardy and Ethan Page, because in Ethan Page's way of thinking, Isaiah is being a turd right now and just not wanting to cooperate like Matt Hardy. So he replaced him on Dark Elevation, Isaiah for Brandon Cutler. And it was just so fun because you got to see that be put together on Being the Elite. And Brandon Cutler was just like, what? Because Matt Hardy or Ethan Page was like, we're going to basically do something to Isaiah if he doesn't get on the right page. And Brandon Cutler's like, well, I'm just here to have fun. I don't really know about all that stuff, but I'll join in. So it was very fun to watch that. Brandon Cutler's growing on.
What's really funny about this too is if you break down the Ethan Page Isaiah Cassidy relationship, do you know what it essentially breaks down to? It essentially becomes a complicated way of stop hitting yourself,
Yes, because
but it's Ethan Page, so instead of saying stop hitting yourself, it's stop hitting yourself.
I know. Which I get it. Everybody's like, why does he yell? Listen, as a person who talks loud, I understand you, Ethan.
I think I have a little insight into this because of talking to him at meet and greets and stuff. I think he's just passionate.
He really is.
And I think his passion just comes through that way because when you meet him, he's a very loud man. In general, he definitely commands a presence.
I get it. I'm a loud mouth as well. So.
Yeah, it doesn't make us like him any less.
You do not have to agree with me every time I say something.
But no, I think that's where that comes from. I think he's just a very passionate guy, and he's a very loud, boisterous guy.
And I just love Ethan Page, so I just love that we're seeing him more.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the Hardy Brothers, Hardy Boys. Oh my gosh, Hardy Brothers, Hardy Boys is the book.
No, Hardy Boys is both.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
you just call them the Hardys.
Okay. Well, I like them, but I am kind of liking like Ethan and Matt Hardy together too because it's such a fun pairing. Like you have Matt Hardy just like placating Ethan Page to like
he's setting him up for something.
And then you have Ethan Page who's being Matt's friend, but he's just making fun of him by doing his moves and just it's very fun and it's entertaining.
And this whole thing, when they've put it on like Dark Elevation and when it was on like it gets a response. Like the crowd is pumped.
Yes.
So I think that you're setting up for when Matt Hardy's finally had enough and he turns on Ethan Page, you're gonna get a pretty sizable pop out of that.
It's a fun story, and it just I think people need to realize that this started on Dark and Dark Elevation. So there are reasons to watch Dark and Dark Elevation. Athena.
The Athena's heel turn was built on there. The Acclaimed was built on there.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very I get that some people are like, oh my god, I want to watch Dark and Dark Elevation. But they're doing more stories on there now.
Yeah, there is some stuff to take away from it that will help TV make more sense.
Yeah, they're building it on there. So I like it. Well, the main event, I believe, was Action Andretti and Dane. Oh yeah, because you fell asleep. It wasn't me last night.
I went back and watched it this morning, and I'm glad I did because it was a great match.
Action Andretti beat Daniel Garcia, which I should have known, but I was still shocked when it happened. So I know this match is building to next week. It's Daniel Garcia and
Daniel Garcia lost, so he's not in it.
Sammy Guevara and Jericho versus
Andretti and Ricky Starks.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that'll be a fun match.
I hope we don't stretch
I honestly don't know who's going to win, though.
I hope we don't stretch this feud all the way out to the pay-per-view. That's all I'm hoping. Because I love Jericho. Don't get me wrong. But whenever Jericho gets in a feud now, I just have flashbacks to almost a year of JAS and Blackpool Combat Club.
I just think this is Chris Jericho's way of being like, I think Action Andretti is awesome. I'm going to do this feud with him to get him over. So I'm here for it no matter what comes out of it.
I would love them to start building up Matt Menard and Angelo Parker and build them up to challenge the Acclaimed.
That could be a good one, yeah. And that could be somebody, too, that I think the Acclaimed could easily beat.
Yeah.
Because I was very nervous when the Acclaimed was feuding with FTR. Because I love the Acclaimed. I don't mean any disrespect to them at all. But if you put up the Acclaimed versus FTR has to come out winning. But they did it okay, though. Like, it ended okay. I remember I was so nervous whenever they fought, though. Because I was like, I was very torn.
And I think what also is fun, and this is where playing with other companies comes into play as well. I love that the Guns have ridden this wave that they killed FTR's legacy.
Right.
And what makes it cool about it is they literally did it one time in their promotion. And then because we pay attention to other promotions, it looks like a trend.
It does.
And it comes back to the Guns.
That's how they that's when they started losing all of their titles.
Yeah.
So
that's why it's fun when things go interpromotional.
Yay, Guns for kind of like building themselves up a little. The Guns are
another act that was on Dark a lot.
Yes. And I love now the Guns where they're just like, they just keep telling the Acclaimed that they stole their daddy. We gave you our daddy. So I like that. I don't know. It's very childlike and I love it.
And what's crazy is we've done this feud before, but neither one of these teams were as over as they are now.
No.
Like, it's like we're revisiting it with more crowd response.
I am a little nervous because remember Daddy Ass was like, basically was like, put them both, the Acclaimed and the Guns, in timeout.
Yeah, they're doing gun family therapy next week.
They are. So I really don't want Daddy Ass to already leave the Acclaimed.
I don't think he will.
So that made me a little bit nervous, but yeah.
I'm trying to figure out who's going to take the titles off the Acclaimed at this point.
I have no clue. At this time, I don't know somebody that's like a good mid-card tag team that could kind of take over. So I don't know, but I'm sure they'll come along at some point and we'll find them. So
yeah, for sure.
But I mean, overall, I think this week was another good week in wrestling.
Yeah,
I was entertained. I didn't fall asleep. So
that's good. That's good. But yeah, it was definitely a good week of wrestling, and to kind of tie back to the beginning, like it was just neat to see all the Jay Briscoe tributes sprinkled throughout both companies.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was very heartwarming to see the whole wrestling community just come together. And that's what the wrestling world is, like a wrestling community. Like the wrestlers, the fans, like the wrestlers need us as the fans to kind of keep them going. So
and we need the wrestlers to entertain us.
Yes, so we're just a big wrestling community. Let's all get along. Stop being mean. Idiots, you stupid idiots.
Oh man.
Just kidding.
I think that's gonna do it for this episode, I guess you would call it, of wrestling this week.
And I have been sucking at doing our website stuff.
Yeah.
So we will start with the blog soon. There's been a lot going on because we've been trying to get ready for the cruise, and like that's where our mind is right now. So like, and then work. So I can't guarantee that the blog will come back this week. But wouldn't you agree with that? I think after the cruise is when we would for sure come back consistently. Yeah. I might get a post in here and there, but we'll go back after the Chris Jericho cruise to consistently posting on the days that we post about the certain subjects, which you can find if you go to our website, and that is figuresandflippys.wordpress.com. So yes. Why are you looking like that? Why are you giggling?
Because you were still looking at me.
Because I was just looking at you.
I know. But basically, what that's going to mean for the schedule is next week we will do an episode on Saturday where we'll talk about what's happening in the coming week. We will do an episode on the Royal Rumble Sunday morning. We'll have that put out for you that'll just talk about the Rumble. Also, Saturday's episode, we will put our predictions in, get them on air to determine who's going to become the F&FS.
Figures and Flippy.
We need to change that.
We just have
the name of the title.
Yeah.
But so we'll have that coming. So stay tuned for those. Like I said, this is also, you can find us on YouTube and Anchor.
Or all of your Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you listen to your podcast.
Stitcher.
Yeah. Anywhere you listen to your podcast, we're on podcast. We didn't do last week in like a podcast when we just did video, but we're going to go do both formats. So if you don't want to see us, fine. We don't want to see you either. Just listen to our voices. Just kidding. We do want to see you.
That came off kind of creepy. But no, go to the website, find our link tree, hit us up on all the socials, comments, questions that you have for us, ideas on what you think, what we think should be booked, or put your own booking ideas out there. Let's see how it looks. But mainly interact with us. We can't improve the show without your input. So please let us know.
We're new. We're still figuring out. That's why every week the videos are probably going to look a little different until we just figure out that right format for us. So we just want to talk wrestling. We love wrestling. We want to talk it with you guys. So dang it, talk wrestling with us.
Yeah. And if you want to talk live about it, find me on Twitch.
Yes.
Get in the chat room.
Twitch. Yeah. Yes. We're nice people. We like wrestling. But we will not respond to you though if you're mean. Yeah. Yeah. But
I think that's going to do it for this week's episode. I think we've made our point clear. Come find us. Yes. So until next Saturday, we'll talk to you guys then. And remember, wrestling is a community.
Yes. Later.